I just got back from the movie theater after watching Captain America, Brave New World, and just like everybody else on the internet, I have opinions. Marvel is in a really interesting place right now. They're in a crossroads. They've established a wonderful cinematic universe, starting with Iron Man, going into the Incredible Hulk, culminating in Avengers Endgame. Almost universally loved. These movies were great. And then after Endgame, things started to unravel a little bit and started to come apart, and a lot of fans stopped paying attention to these movies or stopped enjoying them, or they started making a career on YouTube of criticizing them. All fair. A lot of the post-Avengers Endgame stuff really didn't live up to what came before. Personally, I like some of it. I didn't like some of it. I've tried to watch most of it. I'm bringing in a lot of goodwill from what I liked before. I loved the Iron Man movies. I loved the Avengers movies. I'm more of a DC Comics fan, but I like a good action movie. I like a superhero movie. So I watched most of the stuff, but I started to lose interest after a while. It just seemed to get repetitive, and there were some definite misfires, at least in my opinion. I think the first time I stopped watching a Marvel movie after it already started was The Eternals. I got bored. I turned it off. The Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show, lackluster. The politics of it kind of got in the way of the story. I tried to watch Ms. Marvel. I got bored. Echo was kind of a garbage TV show. WandaVision was unique and interesting, but I didn't bother watching Agatha all along. I'm looking forward to Daredevil Born Again. I hope they don't mess that up. So I'm sort of in the position where I sort of take new Marvel stuff now on a case-by-case basis. And after a lot of the negative press, I expected really to not like Captain America Brave New World, but I went to it anyway because Captain America has always been my favorite part of Marvel. Even though that Steve Rogers is no longer doing Captain America, he passed the torch or the shield to his friend Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie. So I understand the mantle's being passed, but I still like Captain America. I'm still willing to give the movie a fair shot, but I was expecting not to like it because of the bad press. Critical Drinker talked about it being a movie that was cobbled together. The Nerdrotic guy was talking about it being Captain America without Captain America and really emphasizing the politics of these movies. I don't really care about that so much. I just want a good movie that's going to entertain, and I think this movie actually did that. This conversation is going to be full on spoilers. If you don't want to know what happens in the movie, watch this video after you watch the movie. I don't know how much this matters to people, but one thing that jumped out at me right away was the fact that the movie started differently. We didn't get the Marvel flippy pages. We didn't get the Marvel theme. Dun, 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 dun. That didn't happen. We just got a very subdued Marvel Studios logo, and then we jump right into President Ross. I don't know if it's an acceptance speech or whatnot, but he's giving a political speech. And we're introduced to President Ross before we're even introduced to Anthony Mackie's Captain America. And really, Harrison Ford steals the show in this. I looked it up. Harrison Ford is older than Donald Trump, and he's older than Joe Biden. But he is still a screen presence. Old man Harrison Ford in his 80s still delivers. Now, I don't know why he's still acting. If I had the kind of money he has, I'd be on a tropical island ignoring the world. But apparently this guy likes to be in front of the camera. He likes to act. He likes his job. So God bless him for doing it. He didn't just phone it in. He delivered a great performance, an emotional performance. Harrison Ford, in this movie, he wants to reconnect with his daughter. He's really down that he has an estranged relationship with his daughter due to events that occurred in previous films. Harrison Ford showed us why he's a famous actor in this movie. He's just great.
It's all true.
The main political thriller aspect of the movie is that Harrison Ford's President Ross is keeping a secret. And that secret is that he had medical issues. He was taking these pills to keep his heart, but apparently it was turning him into a Red Hulk, which he didn't realize or thought he could keep under control. We're not really told. But his goal in the movie is to establish a peace treaty because of the celestial island that has the super secret MacGuffin metal that's used in a lot of superhero stuff. And a lot of nations are really wanting that resource and are willing to go to war over that resource. So President Ross is really trying to keep the peace and have an international treaty so that the new superhero MacGuffin metal isn't going to lead to a war.
War. It's fantastic.
And that's a genuinely good motivation. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, they don't tell you what the political party of President Ross is, but he has an understandable goal that sort of transcends left and right. If there was really a gigantic celestial island with superhero metal, sure, countries would want to fight over it, and they handled that in this movie pretty well. Now, this is where I get into a little bit of trouble because as much as I like superhero movies, I can't watch everything, and I don't watch everything. I've watched almost every Marvel thing, but I missed the Eternals movie, and apparently that's really important in this movie. I had no idea that there was a celestial island with superhero MacGuffin metal, but apparently that's a thing. But because I never watched Eternals, I had to Google after I got done watching the movie where the hell this celestial thing came from. But even without knowing exactly what that is, I kind of get the gist of it. I remember the Celestial from Guardians of the Galaxy, so I knew what it was, but I didn't know there was one on Earth. And there's a lot of little characters that pop in and out that I don't quite remember. I've watched most of the stuff, but I really feel like Marvel is getting into an area where you have to know more than you really should have to know. You have to know a lot of stuff going into these movies. You have to do your homework, and that kind of annoys me a little bit. It actually reminds me of reading real comic books because sometimes you are introduced to something in a comic book that you haven't read, and there's a little panel at the bottom that says, for more information on what happened here, read blah, blah, blah comic. I feel like when the Celestial Island was mentioned, there should have been a little box at the bottom of the screen saying, if you don't know what the is going on, please watch The Eternals. But even when I didn't quite know which character was which, or I didn't remember which movie this person was from or whatnot, the characters in the movie know who they are, and you kind of can fill in the blanks even if you're not totally familiar with it. The movie stands pretty well on its own. These are good performances across the board. All of the actors and actresses in this movie deliver well. The action set pieces are fun. It's not a superhero movie in the sense of people flying around with capes. It's more of a political thriller with gunfights and espionage and government secrets that need to be uncovered. Tonally, I think this is pretty close to the second Captain America movie. So we already talked about the plot thread of the Celestial Island and President Ross wanting to keep the peace. Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson, Captain America, his main focus of the movie is trying to get his friend out of prison after he attempted to assassinate President Ross against his will. Apparently he was under some sort of mind control, which we slowly learn about through the course of the movie. And the villain behind it all, it's kind of, his brain is showing. I don't remember this guy. I don't think he was in a previous Marvel thing. Was he in the comics? I don't know. I don't read Marvel comics. But he was an interesting villain. I sort of like that President Ross was using him as his little secret fortune teller to try to get him in office and try to get him what he wanted. But really, Mr. Exposed Brain is pulling strings and manipulating things in a way that President Ross can't foresee. All of these plot lines converge in the Indian Ocean, where the Japanese fleet and the United States fleet are really rushing towards this island after diplomatic talks break down. And there actually is a combat sequence between the American military and the Japanese military when mind control takes over two American fighter jets who fire on the Japanese, and Captain America and the new Falcon bring down the American jets without hurting the pilots and really stop the escalation from going into a full-scale war. Sort of a Cuban Missile Crisis thing is going on over this island. There's major military powers that want control. Will peace prevail? Yes, it does, but it's close. Really tense, really good drama, really good action sequences. The CGI looks pretty good. I have nothing to complain about with this scene. The trailers and the media really give away the big plot twist that President of the United States Ross is the Red Hulk, or he's going to become the Red Hulk. So we already know that going in, but it's fun to watch it build up to that. He's taking these little pills, he's getting angry, you don't know why exactly. When the confrontation between the United States and the Japanese Navy ramps up, he almost turns into the Red Hulk right there, but is able to contain himself. When we do get to the Red Hulk, it's at a press conference in front of the White House. He gets super angry and turns into the Hulk. Now, when he turns into the Red Hulk, he's still president of the United States, right? The Secret Service and people around him start shooting at him. Now, would the Secret Service start shooting at the president if he turned into a gigantic rage monster? I don't know. How would their training be for that sort of thing? Did they practice what happens if the president turns into a gigantic red rage monster? He's still technically the president of the United States, isn't he? They'd have to activate the 25th Amendment and make the vice president president if that were to happen, and then maybe they could attack him. But really, can the military start firing on the actual president, even if he's a red rage monster? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but it seemed odd to me that they would actually start shooting at the president right away. I love the Red Hulk. It was great. We never are told why he's red. Somebody actually in the crowd shouts, "Since when were they red?" We're never given a reason. It looks cool. Who cares? Sam Wilson's Captain America and the Red Hulk punch the crap out of each other, and it's sort of a stalemate, and then Captain America talks him down, and Red Hulk shrinks back into Harrison Ford, and then goes to the raft to spend the rest of his days as a prisoner, presumably, depending upon how contract negotiations go for the next movie. And Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson has a character arc. He's struggling with being Captain America because he remembers Steve Rogers had the super soldier serum, and he's just a regular human being. He doesn't feel like he's up to the job. He has his technology. He has the MacGuffin superhero medal, but he doesn't have super strength or superpowers. He just has the technology. And then Bucky Barnes comes in and tells him that Captain America, the original Captain America, gave him the shield not because he was a superpowered person, but because he was a good person. And I thought that was really well done. And I like that President Ross, while he's in prison after the movie's over, gets to see his daughter and they get to reconcile. I like that that story arc had a conclusion. And I like that the movie just didn't stop when the action stopped. You get a little bit more time to breathe. You see the new Falcon recovering in the hospital. You get a little bit of dialogue. You get to take a breath. The movie really shows the completion of what happens. The treaty gets signed. Peace is achieved between these different nations. I thought the movie had a good structure. The movie did suffer a little bit from being cobbled together. You can tell there were a few different ideas that they sort of stitched together, but I think it worked really well. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as it comes into a coherent whole, it doesn't matter how you got there. It works in this case. I have no complaints. I thought it was a genuinely fun movie. It's not the best Marvel movie they've ever made, not even close, but it's good, and I liked it, and I don't think it deserves the criticism that it's getting. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? How was Captain America: Brave New World? Are you optimistic about what Marvel's going to do next, or are you done with Marvel altogether? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the growing new channel out tremendously. Thank you very much. Until next time.